One of the questions that we get asked all the time is, what did you wish you knew before you made the move to Southwest Florida? And I love this question because when I sit back and I think about it, there are some things that I just had no idea. So when we decided to move here to Florida back in 2012, what we knew of Florida was pretty much what we learned coming in the wintertime. So we would come and see my mom and dad at Christmas time, we would come for spring break. So we were coming during the perfect weather that everyone knows about, that our snowbirds are dreaming of, getting out of the cold winter. That's what we were familiar with. And then imagine our surprise when we moved here. We actually moved in June. So we came in the summertime while the kids were off school, and our first week here, it was like raining, like ridiculous, crazy rain every single afternoon. And we were like, huh. So we had heard it rained a lot, so no big deal. But I mean, we're talking, this is crazy how hard it can rain sometimes in the evening. But then it would be done, there would be an amazing sunset, and we're like, all right, this is cool. What really surprised us was the amount of lightning that we have in our tropical summer thunderstorms. Really took us by surprise. In fact, when you watch the news in the summertime, a lot of times they will actually have a lightning counter up in the corner, and it will be showing the map with all the flashes of lightning, and that counter will just be going up so fast. So totally surprised me, and that was one that really took me by surprise. So we still love being here in the summertime. It is hot. And yes, our goal is to eventually be able to split time, part-time in North Carolina in the summertime. The rest of the year here, Florida will always be our primary home. So my husband is definitely ready to start escaping the heat. But me, I'm not as concerned about it. It is hot. You sweat a lot in the summer. Everywhere you go has air conditioning. Ladies, you always want to bring a sweatshirt or a jacket because you leave from that heat in the outside and you go into the restaurant and it's freezing cold. So yes. Lots of humidity, lots of rain and lightning in the summer, and then of course hurricanes, which we knew about moving here, but I will tell you it is much different to watch them on TV from somewhere else in the country versus actually being here when a hurricane is coming. What's great about hurricanes is you have a lot of notice, especially when you're here and we're in hurricane season. They will be talking about potential storms and what percentage they have to come together for weeks, and then it either fizzles out or it goes ahead and it comes through. So it is a whole different experience than being in an area like where I grew up, where it was tornadoes. You have very little warning. They come, they can be very destructive. Hurricanes, we talk about them for days and days and days and days, and a lot of times nothing comes together. Sometimes they do. Thankfully, we've been here for now 13 years. And we've had one time where we actually left for a hurricane. That was in Irma, 2018. It was our first hurricane, so we decided to boogie on out. Our house was fine, our neighborhood was fine. We had Ian, which was a pretty big one. We live east, so very minimal impact on us personally, huge impact on our area. And then we had a couple smaller storms last year. So you do hear about them, they do come and go. Anyway, hurricanes, you have to just know about it. You're choosing to live or have a home in paradise. That is what comes with it from the natural side. All of the areas of the country have their own natural type of events that happen, and for us here in Florida, it is hurricanes. Anyway, the second thing is cost of living and what you need to expect in Lee County here versus national. So what we expected when we moved here, what we were excited about is no income tax. Pretty fantastic if you're a Florida resident. And the second thing was we knew that real estate taxes were going to be significantly less, especially from where we were coming in Illinois, which is a very high tax state. But beyond that, I just want to kind of share some information, because something that does surprise people when they ask about is, I think there over time was a perception that Florida is really reasonable and you can move there and it's cheaper than a lot of places in the country. And there are some spots in Florida where that is the case. Some areas are more affordable than others, but just want to share some data, give you some down and dirty of what you could expect here in Lee County, Florida. I'm going to reference my notes here just to make sure I get these right. So we're going to be comparing the national average to what our averages are here in Lee County. So again, the national average, it's going to take into account a lot of lower income areas. all the different spots. A lot of our people end up here from New England. They end up here from the Midwest, oftentimes coming from big cities and high-tax states. So these numbers are gonna probably be a little different than what they might be if comparing to your current home state specifically. But for the purposes of this video, we're gonna compare to national averages. So we're gonna start with the median home price. And when we look at the national average median home price, it's about $274,000 versus Lee County, our average home price is $357,500. So quite a bit more than the national average. And Collier County, I did not pull numbers for Collier County, but Collier County is an even higher average sales price than Lee County. So about a 30% increase over the national average to be here in Lee County. Next, transportation. The national average is just over 13,000. It's 13,174. We're a little higher here at just under 14,000. So about a 6% difference here in Lee County. Healthcare, 5,600 versus 6,200. So again, a little bit higher than the national average. Utilities, 4,400 versus 4,700. So 6% increase here over being in the national average. And then the last category, food and groceries, just under $10,000 is the national average, and just over $10,000 is the Lee County average. So pretty small increases, I would say, over most of the categories outside of housing. And we're going to talk more about that in another category. All right, the number 3 thing that I wish I knew before moving here is how different all of our areas are. So we've got some videos on this if you're looking to move here and you're considering it, about how do you decide where you want to be. And this is a hard one. When we moved here, a lot of ours was based on the family and friends we knew who lived in the area. So my mom and dad were already living here part-time in the winter. Close by, they were just around the corner in Estero, and I had a lot of friends who lived in Estero. So for me, it kind of just made sense. We were like, well, I guess that's where we're going to go, because that's where all the people are that we know. Now that we live here, we know there are a lot of different options, and it depends on how you envision living your Florida life. What is it that you like to do? How close do you like to be to the water? How close do you want to be to Naples? Do you need to be close to the airport? That was a big one for us when we moved here. Jeremy was still working his corporate job, and he had to fly every single week. So Estero is about, literally, we lived like 10 minutes door to door to the airport, and our airport is amazing to fly in and out of. It is one of the best mid-sized airports in the country. It wins awards for that. And we are growing, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute, but our airport is also growing. But that was a huge factor in us. So another reason that Estero checked the box for us personally when we made the move here. But all of these need to be taken into account. And when you work with the Guillette group, we have something called a wish list. This is where we start the process when we do an intake, and we talk to you about how do you envision living? What's important to you? Are you going to rent? Do you need to be close to the water? Are you going to be walking the beach every day? Do you need to fly out every day? Do you want to be close to downtown Naples? So many different discussions that we need to have. Do you want to live in a golf community? Do you want to have a boat in your backyard? Do you want to be in a gated community that has high amenities but isn't a golf course? So many options and variables, and it can really be overwhelming. But that's what we're here for, or whoever you're working with, is to help take some of that burden off of you and help you narrow it down so that it's not so overwhelming as you're trying to choose where your dream home is going to be located. Next, community and culture, and this is a big one. When you fly in, we are a smaller area overall. I think our combined population is about 1.5 million when you take into account Lee County, Collier County, all of our areas, Cape Corals, Fort Myers, Naples, Lehigh Acres, etc. So really on the smaller side, but then we're really broken out in between. There's a lot in Lee County, there's a lot in Collier County. Another reason we personally like Estero, we're sitting right next to Collier County and on the south side of Lee County, so we can literally get to anything that we want to go to within a 20 and 30 minute drive, which is pretty fantastic for us and the way that we choose to live our Florida lifestyle. So our growth has changed a lot since we moved here in 2012. In fact, the population continues to increase. We saw a huge increase during COVID. Our numbers really went up, and we are now seeing some people leave, but the reality is we still have more people coming in than are leaving. The migration continues to happen here in Southwest Florida, and people are going to be coming from all different areas and looking for different things. So what's really cool is we've got a lot for being a smaller market. So if you're coming from a big city like Chicago or Boston or somewhere like that, where you have all kinds of options as far as what to do for culture and for entertainment, we still have a lot of that here. We've got Hertz Arena right in Estero, which is the primary home of the Florida Everblades, so a lower tier hockey league. They're awesome. They've won the cup multiple times in the last few years. Really, really fun. They also get some pretty big acts there. Just a couple weeks ago, Adam Sandler was here. They get big concerts. So we get a pretty good inflow of entertainment coming through that area. Up at Barbara B. Mann in Lee County in Fort Myers, they get the secondary, like the off-Broadway shows coming, like they just announced next year. Mamma Mia is coming, and some really great shows. We've seen some great acts up there. They also get comedians. A couple years ago, saw Jerry Seinfeld there. So all kinds of fun stuff, but don't worry, there's also options in Naples, which is incredible. So again, like I was saying, what a bonus we've got here to have two different areas that have two different sets of culture and entertainment that are available for us. Even if you live in Fort Myers, it's not that far to drive to Naples. So Artist Naples brings concerts, ballet, operas, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot more than you would think. And then what's also incredible is because of our awesome location, we're 2 hours to Tampa, we're 3 hours to Orlando, we're 2 hours to Fort Lauderdale, 2 hours to Miami. So then we have all of that available to us, which is awesome. So we've been to concerts in Tampa, we've been to concerts in Miami, we go to tennis tournaments in Miami, we use the airports in Fort Lauderdale and Miami sometimes. So really, there is no shortage of entertainment and culture available to you, even though we're a little bit of a smaller market. So one of our bigger challenges here over the time that we've lived here has kind of been industry. So most of our jobs are through the school district and through hospitality. We do have a lot of people who live here and are living a retired life, but we're seeing that demographic change, and a lot more people are doing what we did, moving down here, visiting parents who are snowbirding, falling in love, and starting to raise our family here in Florida as well. In fact, a lot of the areas that we live in are a lot of us that are kids who have come in and are following our parents to start living the Southwest Florida lifestyle a little earlier in life. So we are seeing a lot of change with that. And we are also seeing growth with industry. So Alico, which is right in between Fort Myers and Estero, close to the airport, is seeing tremendous growth. Amazon has brought in multiple facilities. We've got companies like Gartner, Hertz, Chico's, who have their headquarters here. They're all close to the airport and very accessible for people. So it's exciting to see all the continued growth that's happening. People bringing in manufacturing. Supposedly we're getting IKEA soon, but it is happening. And the infrastructure is coming. So it wasn't done ahead of time, but there is a lot of money and a lot of projects that are on the deck to expand our roads, to expand Corkscrew Road, expanding 80 into Alico Road, to make the accessibility even better for those people who are coming and who are coming to work and take all of these jobs. I already talked about the expansion at RSW International Airport. It's a really exciting time. There have been some frustrations with some of the infrastructure. Yes, true. And traffic, we do get a lot about traffic. Listen, in season, we have a lot of traffic. Our population increases by over 30%. That is a lot of extra people. And the truth is, most of those people aren't from here. They don't live here. They don't know where they're going. Sometimes they're older. Take that for what you will, or maybe everything is a little bit shorter. We see some crazy things. There can be some bad driving here in Southwest Florida. But for us, we just know in season, you just have to leave yourself a little more time. You got to plan a little more advance. You got to make restaurant reservations if you're looking to go out, or you can just hang tight until a lot of those people leave, and then we can enjoy it right now in like summertime when we've got sizzle dining going on. A lot of our restaurants have specials going on. They make it special for those of us who live here full time. in the off season, and we love it. All right, the next thing that was a big surprise is the real estate price. And when we moved here, it was a much different time and a much different market coming out of the 2008 real estate market. So we were able to, real estate was quite affordable here in Southwest Florida at that time because there was so much inventory coming out of that downturn and crash that happened in 2006, 7, 8-ish. So it was pretty fantastic. But this is something that really surprises a lot of people when we go out and we show them houses, is for their budget, how much house do they get? And it is often surprised. And listen, I'm just gonna tell you the truth. So it depends on so many factors, depends on where you wanna be. As you know, location, you have to pay for premium location. The closer you get to the water and the beach, the more expensive it is. The closer you get to Naples, the more expensive it is. Just like anywhere else that you live, there are pockets that are always going to carry a premium. There are pockets that are more affordable, but we really do have something for everyone here. Depending on your budget, what you're looking for, how big of a house. We have a lot of like 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square feet houses. That's kind of the main, I would say probably what we have the most of, because somebody who's coming from up north, that might be all they're looking for. But there is a variety of price points within that depending on where that house is. So we will often say to people, that house in Fort Myers or the northern side of Fort Myers, Alva, up that direction is going to be one price. Then as you move into Fort Myers, it's going to go up a little bit. You move to Estero, that same house, a little bit more. Bonita, a little bit more. And finally, Naples. Now I'm talking if you're inland in Naples, not down out east where a lot of the new growth and development is happening. At that point, once you start moving east, then it's getting a little more affordable again. But we are here to answer any questions you've got about that. And we want to help you understand what you can expect, how much everything costs. Of course, you got to be aware of HOA dues, CDD fees, all the other things that come with our fantastic Florida living. Again, a lot of people are really drawn to the manicured look of what we have here with our gated communities. Because the truth is while not everyone loves the fact of having to pay those fees, it does mean that landscaping is included and that the houses are just, the yards look nice, the communities look nice, the amenity center look nice, because everyone is paying in to make sure that everything looks nice. That is what draws a lot of people to our area, but it's not for everyone. So we have areas outside of that too, but we want to know, what questions do you have about moving to, living in Southwest Florida? Do you want to know more? Do you want to compare data to what market you're coming from so we can really talk about the costs of moving here? We want to make sure you have all the information you need to make a good decision. And if living in Florida is your dream, we want to help make that a reality. If you found this video helpful, please like it, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel so you can be notified every time we release a new video. You can always contact us directly at 239-776-6872. You can schedule time using the Calendly link below so that we can talk. Is this a move you're wanting to make? Is this a move you're going to make? How can we help you make that happen? Because we want to let you and help you live joy too.